Hi everybody, here's an update on the front cover, the philosophy, the theory, the procedures, the practice. Okay, so first of all, let's start at the very top here, and we have what we call the carousel. It's 11 pictures. The idea here is to write stories about food, home, garden. This is content primarily coming over from the Weekender. It's also coming from our cars and travel section. Everything currently is affected by this coronavirus crisis, but normally what we're going to see here is a lot of restaurants. We're going to see a glass of wine or a cocktail. We're going to see food a couple times, or a chef or a kitchen. We're going to see some fashion. That's going to be makeup, jewelry, shoes, that kind of thing. We're going to see a person or two, some smiling faces of outstanding Pasadenans. We're going to see a home, interior design, garden. This is all about living. It's not about news. It's about living. Like escape the world in this tranquil garden haven. Okay? How heart attack patients can live longer. That kind of stuff. And a beautiful home or two. So that's what this is all about. Now, we do want to change that frequently. So we need to change at least 3 of these every day. At least 3 of them every day. So that's which coming off of the Weekender shouldn't be a problem. There should be 3 for you there. So that's the carousel, 3 changes a day. Now you get down to the bars. We have an orange bar and we have a breaking news red bar. Now right now you're not seeing the breaking news red bar because there's no breaking news. You're only seeing the orange bar. What's the difference? The orange bar is more general. For example, if we decide to launch a section on the coronavirus, we could say, see our new section on the coronavirus. Okay. Right now it says Pasadena now launches new websites because that's a good place to do a general announcement. After a week or two, or after maybe 3 or 4 days, we won't even want this up anymore. The only time we use the red breaking news is when there's breaking news. Very important news, short in duration, so the breaking news red bar won't be up very often. Beneath it is a section called the latest. Okay, so the latest, typically it's a smaller story that just came in. This is where we used to do latest number 2. These are latest number 2s and less. These are not the most important stories in the world. Okay, this is about a market. This is kind of lower level stuff. A lot of this will have been written by Andy. It's interesting stuff and it's recent and it's new, but you're not going to find it anywhere else on the front cover because, quite frankly, it's usually not that important. So it's interesting news that just happened, but it's not huge breaking front cover news. It's more like, the county's going to give you digital library cards now. That's kind of interesting. And they just announced it like 3 or 4 hours ago, or even yesterday afternoon, so it's kind of the latest. But we're not putting, President of the United States visits Pasadena. No. That's going to be under breaking news, or it's going to be our top story. Okay, but the key thing is, in the latest, you're not repeating a story that's somewhere else on the front cover. That's one of the key things. Okay, now let's get down to the top 3 stories. Well, this is basically what used to be the top story, the news feature story, and the latest number 1 stories. So basically, these 3 stories are top story, news feature story, and latest number 1 story on the old cover. So that's how that goes. Okay, now I'm going to do a separate piece on the slideshow that you see to the left here. I'm going to do a separate video on the rules for the slideshow. But I can tell you basically the idea is, first of all, the slideshow right here on the left-hand side should have pictures from the top story, the news feature, and the latest number 1. These 3 stories, they don't have pictures like every other article on the front cover, and they're the most important stories. So pictures from these 3 should be on the slideshow. That's number 1. And then number 2, the slideshow is going to need to follow a formula of having some news, mostly news pictures, but then it's also going to have some pictures from the Weekender, one or two. We probably want to have a food picture. So I will provide rules on that, but suffice it to say, the top 3 stories need to be the top 3 pictures on the slideshow. Once in a while, when there's a breaking news story with the red bar up here, if you've got a picture, that should be the number 1 picture up here in the slideshow also. It's slanted towards news, that's for sure. So there's that. Then let's go down here. This is, of course, the top 10. Now, what you should know is we can actually go to 15 if we need to. There is a third row of 5 available to you if you need it. So that's an important thing to know. Now, do you have to do all 5? No, you could do 2, and they'll be centered on the bottom row. So that's accessible to you. So then let's go down here to this bottom section, which is, I call it the bottom section. So on the bottom section, really the only column that you have to worry about a lot is the left-hand one called the features. Why? Because you put those in by hand, and we need to change them fairly frequently. So the other stories here, like on the columns number 2 and 3, police and fire and courts, education and schools, business news, opinion, all that stuff, those come in naturally. They're just pulled right off of the section headings. So these are the most 2 recent education and school stories are there. The 2 most recent business news stories are under business. The last couple of opinion and letters to the editors, they just pop up automatically. You don't do anything. So you don't have to worry about them too much. The left-hand side is the features column. Now, let me explain to you this type of content that needs to be in the features column. This material is material that's more general. It's more like a feature article. It's not about a specific event. It's more like a theme or a trend or something bigger. It's like an in-depth feature story. So, for example, the first one is about a doctor saying why we should do social distancing. So that story has a life of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 3 months. It's a long time story. Here's a more thoughtful piece, an in-depth thoughtful piece. Locals adjust to the new normal. This could have been run on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. See, so it's a feature story. It has some time length to it. And that's what we're after here. This one is a little bit more urgent, but still, it's something that's a trend right now. This, too, is a bit of a trend. It's a good trend. People are doing things about the coronavirus stuff. But the point is, it's not a one-day news story or a one-hour news story. It's got a little bit more to it. And then here's the story, some advice. This is a long-lasting story. So the feature stories are bigger overall stories. They are not stories, like there was an election update yesterday. That's a boom, in and out, you're done. These are feature stories. And they go on the left-hand side. In connection with the stories on the right 2 columns, you really only need to look at them to make sure that stories are showing up in the proper location. Be sure to check these when you look, and if you have a question, ask me, because I see a problem right off the bat. Police, fire, and courts has got a story about the gas company in it. This is wrong. Shouldn't be there. Now, I know we used to call it public safety, and that's probably why that appeared there. And so I'm going to decide if we should change this to public safety again. If you have any opinions, please let me know. But by having a broader description, it allows us much more flexibility. I think I want to change that to public safety. I'll keep you advised, but I think that would help, because then we could put in some of these other stories, which I think we should. So I'll follow up with you all on that, but I think that's what we've got. That I will change that. Now, the rest of these are just pulled in from their sections naturally, like nonprofits, science and technology. I would say just check them out to make sure that that things have been categorized properly and that their expiration dates have worked. And then we should be safe. So that is a look at the front cover. I'll keep you posted. Ask me questions. I'm definitely open to suggestions. If you see any problems, have any ideas. It's going to be a little bit crazy at first as we figure out how this thing works. But this is the basic plan right now, and it looks great on mobile phones.